Hello and welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly program where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner.
The standard disclaimer applies for tonight's broadcast. John has a lot of background noise, so I cut him off. The thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely those of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Please keep your conversations and comments open to the public and on the level for tonight's broadcast. You know me, I'm Jason Richards. Say some cool stuff in the comments because they may just show up on the air. I'm a past master of Vacation Lodge number 16 in Clifton, Virginia. Over to Joe Martinez.
Oh, hello. Joe Martinez, past master of things and stuff. All the things. Don't feel like talking about them. Miss you. Love y'all. It's been a couple weeks since we've been together, so great to see y'all. Super pumped for tonight's show, and going to do everything I can to not make you interact with John this evening. So next person up is Robert Johnson.
Y'all are too funny and super professional, and John loves it. Robert Johnson, past master Waukegan, current sitting secretary of Waukegan, and the sitting worshipful master at the premier Masonic Education Lodge in the state of Illinois, Space Novum 1183, where we just had Brother Darren A. Laners come out and do a presentation, and I think we're going to make it a solid, we'll see what happens, but August 2, you can come out and you can see worshipful Brother Joe Martinez. So that'll be fun.
Ooh.
Back to y'all.
Well, I think we're just going to say, well, we got to say hi to John. So that's a thing. So bring him back. Let him say hello.
Hi, John.
What up,
Hi.
baby?
Can you go to a Starbucks next time?
I know. I've got like the loudest Arby's in the world.
Where are you, John?
He's got the
No,
meat.
I've got the meats.
He's got the meats. I was waiting for somebody to do that. I'm excited. I love Arby's, so I'm glad that you're allowed to go there with your family because I can't with mine.
Oh,
Happy to be here.
All righty. Well, this is about the time of the show where we thank our patrons. So thank you so much to all of our patrons. Go to www.patreon.com/The Masonic Roundtable. Get some cool merch and get to hang out with us in our special own Facebook group. So take a look and keep the show running for years and years and years to come.
that's right.
Glad to have you with us.
For those who are commenting along the way this evening, don't mention the debate. It's got to be a surprise. You know, I've got money riding on this. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no debate.
No hashtag spoilers.
Yeah, I don't want any spoilers, and
Not even from John.
yeah. Okay.
I can imagine the political tete-a-tete that's going on in the Arby's where John is.
Yeah.
Yes.
This place is packed. It's like red and blue. It's amazing to see the crowd that came out for this.
They can cross the aisle for beef.
For roast beef sandwiches. That's
For
right.
beef.
Do y'all remember when we
weird cheese?
do y'all remember when we did the TMR episode on election night when it was, I believe it was Trump versus Hillary?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
It was a good time.
But anyway, you know what it's time for now?
No,
I'm glad you
Time
asked.
for
we didn't have
Tarot card of the week.
right there. Look at him. Yeah.
All right, tonight on we love Joe. All right, tonight on Tarot Card of the Week, we've got the Marvel Tarot Deck and Guidebook.
Ooh,
Recent acquisition from
nice.
friend and brother Jonathan Thomas. I'm at the Loud Arby's Ruark.
That's right.
So, card we've got for tonight could be the card for the debate, could be the card for the episode.
I'm just going to say that I have
got-
to congratulate John for even coming on at an Arby's. If this were me, with even one less child than John, I would not be on the show this evening. So your dedication to this is bigger than I will ever have. So I love you, man.
We do it live.
We'll do it live.
We have the Five of Swords.
Oh man. So we got some wisdomy stuff.
Five of Swords. I'm not sure what the artifact is, so I'm looking it up.
Let me see.
It has an artifact.
The fives of wands, five of swords are always
Is
good, like
the Power Stone.
Power Stone.
conflict. Okay, see, they're conflict cards, right?
Yeah.
Five of swords in the Rider-Waite system. The guy's like running away, looking over his shoulder, a little bit of victory, a little bit of cockiness, being cocksure. So, also a good card for the debates.
There will
Yeah,
be
discord and disagreement. Yeah, conflict over power.
Mm.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, I guess in terms of what we're going to talk about this evening, how do we apply that? Let's see.
Well, I would say it applies quite well to the debates going on tonight.
Yeah, I have to say that. Yeah, that's what immediately jumps to mind. Probably because that's on everybody's mind. But yeah, mental consciousness.
I'm going to go on a limb and say your poll was strictly for the debate because there was zero conflict on the thing we were going to talk about tonight.
Well,
Well, do you
What
want a
about-
second poll for the show?
sure,
Yeah, let's do that.
do it.
Well, because there's change too. But
King of Cups.
There we go. There we go. Is that vision? It's vision.
Leaves up.
Wisdom, calmness, caring, tolerance. I love it. I love it. I love it.
that's the show poll. We'll just call it.
Zinga. Yes. So what are we talking about tonight?
I thought
It's
you
very
guys
handsome
were.
shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you guys could talk about? Oh, that conference that you guys put together every year. What's it called?
Yeah.
Ah,
Esotericon.
Esotericon. Zinga. Our new shirts designed by the ever artistic Jason Richards. Yes,
Yes.
indeed.
Yeah, so we had Esotericon. It's the fourth or fifth time we've done the
Fifth and
show.
6 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Fifth
Nice.
or 6 years, yeah.
Yep.
So
that's right, because you
Super-
made everybody mad when you decided to skip a year.
That's right.
yeah, we did.
You
Well,
boneheads.
and it's funny because this next year, folks made up our minds for us, and we're basically just like, yeah, you're doing it again next year. So, spoilers, June 14th next year, Esotericon 2025.
You've got a year to plan.
Yep.
A whole year.
Well, I mean,
Well-
that's a good place to dip into. So yeah, we'll definitely be more diligent and early with our announcements. Because this year I think was the heartbreak year for John over here, right? We had a plan, and the plan was magical, and Walt Disney levels magical, and it kind of imploded, and we just watched it just fall apart right in front of our eyes, right?
Yeah, that's
Well,
why
you-
we took a year off between 2022 and 2024. The big plan was to have Esotericon align with the second in most recent years of the total solar eclipse in the United States. And so we said, hey, what a better time than to get our ducks in a row, move the conference out of June and into an April time frame, and end the conference on a high note, literally, and have the solar eclipse be the ultimate conclusion of an esoteric conference. I mean, how great would that be? Like druidic, ritual, and the sun blotting out from the sky. It was gonna be amazing. And all our plans fell through, mostly because
Capitalism happened.
yes,
Capitalism.
curses. We're in late stage capitalism where even though you plan 2 years out, as soon as they find out there's money to be made, the price is what 11 times forward.
Yeah,
it was nuts.
11x the cost to travel and to hang out with us. So, yes.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. As somebody from the outside who was considering coming down for that, I had looked at Airbnbs, which were like, normally like $230 to $340 or something for an entire house for the weekend. All of a sudden shot up to about $2,100, and I was like, I think maybe Holiday Inn. And then I went over to Holiday Inn's website and I was like, oh, kind of the same thing, right? It'd be like $200 a night. Yeah, no, they they know that they were going to be in one of the best spots to view. And so of course it shot up to like $400 and $500 a night. So
yeah, I mean, it's well, I mean, just now that it's over and we can talk about it and stuff like that, it was like John said, we put down deposits 18 months in advance. Like we were not playing around. Like we were like, hey, we want to do this early. And they were like, yep, no. And we're not going to name names or places or anything. But, they were like, you really want to book this early? And we were like, absolutely. Lock us in. And then, what was it? About a good year went by and didn't hear anything. And then about 7 months out, we got our deposit back into our account. And we're like, what happened? And so like John said, capitalism won the day. And they said, here's your deposit back. Here's the new rates. And we were like, yeah, this isn't going to work for us. So the American dream and not us crushed John's dreams. So
so we defaulted back to what worked well, right? We had to go back to Manassas, Virginia, because it works. Well, it works great.
Well, hold up. You're being polite about it. We had to.
I am being polite.
We had to tell over 500 people that we were changing plans. We had to refund tickets for people that had already purchased. We had to tell speakers that we weren't doing this anymore. So, and then we had less than 6 months to plan a conference.
To plan a brand new conference. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because apparently, when you're planning a 3 to 4 day retreat style event, not a lot of that translates to a 1 day
party.
Yeah,
that's right.
Still put on a good one though.
See, that's the thing. Like glass half full, it still was amazing this year, despite having to reroute our plans back to Manassas, and it was solid. And I think that was one thing that, again, as a lesson learned from this year, was that everyone involved was fully in, fully committed, very focused on it, and just made it such a fantastic experience.
Yeah, no, I'll second that. And I mean, it was absolutely some card. Yeah, it was. I think when we all got done, we were just amazed at what a great day it was. You know what I mean? There was no, we all remember the first year, the second year, we're there till 1 a.m. cleaning, and we're tired, and we hate each other, and we say things we don't mean, and everybody's yelling at John, and nobody knows where Kevin is, those kinds of things. And but no, this year was cool. The vibe there, everybody was great. We had some speakers that we've been trying to get to the conference for years. And everybody there was just awesome and just had amazing vibes. And it was an amazing day. It was definitely one of the best ones that we've been to, that at least I've been to. Yeah.
We did a couple new things too for Esotericon. I think one of the best things that we did for this conference is we bookended it with, 20-minute guided meditations. And so you started off and ended off kind of just within yourself. And that was, I think, a huge way to set the tone for the entire day.
So we did that in 2022 also. But I think it kind of clicked this time. Like, everybody was with it and everybody was committed, and, there was no rustling around and burping and farting, and, everybody was just in the moment and ready to be there and just wanted to participate. I thought it was great. So
Yeah, there's nothing like good group meditation for sure.
Absolutely. There's nothing like good group eating roast beef at Arby's, but I don't know because I'm not there. Gone with his orange creamsicle, whatever the hell it is.
So another thing that I know was a first for us is instead of having just lectures where you got talked at, core component of this year's event was a practical workshop, and that's something we're going to be doing hopefully from here on out
Now,
because it was really well received.
so when you guys say practical workshop, what was really interesting about this in particular was that it was originally, I mean, there was some schedule kind of maneuvering that went really well and everything really dovetailed nicely together. But I did want to say how cool it was to go directly from a sort of accelerated presentation, which was very fun. I think Jamie Paul Lamb is always he's every time I see him, I think he gets a little bit more comfortable with crowds because I think he feels like the people he's talking to, he really understands that these people are into this kind of thing. Obviously, this is the Esoteric Conference, and so he's so comfortable and he's just very charismatic and lively throughout. And he did such a great job. And was so accommodating for everyone who was going through the workshop. What did you like when you guys were thinking about that? Like, what made you guys think about doing something like a workshop rather than the typical lecture?
Well, I think we kind of stole that idea from our retreat idea because we wanted our retreat to be inherently participatory, and that's something that I think we've seen that's kind of missing in a lot of the conferences that we've been to. You know, the idea that, hey, let's what better way to kind of solidify everybody's intent than getting everyone together, getting everybody participating, and what comes out of that participation is a memento that you get to keep from the conference.
Yep, perfectly said.
So, and then when we realized that Jamie Paul Lamb did talismanic magic, we said, "Oh, that's something unique. It's participatory, and you get to create your own memento of the day and of the conference." And it just, you know, he was up for it, and it just turned out really well. Had a little bit of prep work, though. John and I, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but you guys, people don't know. I mean, even I didn't see like all of the prep work that you guys went into this with, but like it was obvious that there was difficulty in setting it up. So I want you guys to know that it did not go unnoticed. It was really awesome, and you know, it was just really cool. It was seamless. It really was seamless. It seemed that way anyway.
Well, yeah, I think it was, and like I said, it was the first time we had done it, and everybody was engaged. It wasn't like, you know, 10% of the room was engaged and the 90% of the room was just like, yeah, whatever, we'll get through it. Like everybody was engaged and was talking to each other about it. And look at those handsome guys. And that's Jason's driveway that we ruined with spray paint.
We didn't ruin the driveway. We ruined the patch of grass to the right of the driveway where we set all the talismans up to to dry.
No, we made a sigil on your lawn is what we did.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Oh, holy crap, my picture's up. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, did you see the confetti embedded in your picture now?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't
great.
even know the picture up. Wow, shut up, Sun Card.
Yeah, so you know, when you look at, of course, doing magic, you have to take into account the astrological significance of the time and hour and the place. And so, RJ mentioned we moved some things around. We moved some things around because we had to do the consecration at a given hour and minute of the day. And so the prep work that started, good 72 hours before that, had to adhere to, all of these certain astrological phenomena. The prep had to take place, in a certain hour of the day, with certain colors, with certain music. It was just very methodical and very involved to get us to the point where, Saturday, 72 hours later, we were able to actually, consecrate the talismans that really just encapsulated kind of the energy of the conference and that particular day. It was pretty neat.
It was fun. I had a blast. My daughter was there. She had a blast. She didn't know she was going to be making a talisman that day. Yep.
Yeah, I've got mine.
Mine was yours.
Yeah.
Yep. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like what you said, Jason. Like how I think moving forward, we're going to have to do some sort of practical part, throughout the day, because it was just, number one, it was just so much fun. And number two, it's more than just, a head on a screen and a PowerPoint. And it's like, hey, learn about this. Like you're actually getting to do it or learn how to do it. And so I think we've got great ideas for next year and future years about how to do more practical things when we're
Well, and I think that's the point. That's what we've always wanted to do with Esotericon, is to have a conference that's not Masonic anymore, but focused on all the weird stuff of contemplativism, mysticism, alchemy, astrology, tarot, all that Masonic adjacent type of activities. That if Freemasonry takes good men and makes them better, so do these contemplative practices. And then, so how can we encourage that, right? So normally when you think Masonic education, you're thinking, hey, an alchemy lab course, love it, let's do it, done, sold, right? But the whole point is to not just, you go beyond lectures and learning into actually doing, right? Because you can read about doing push-ups all day, but you got to get on the floor and do them, right? Same thing is true for a lot of this philosophical and spiritual work. We want to get away from, and not, again, there's nothing wrong with lectures, because you need to put it in your mind. You need to get those forms in your mind first, and then you actually need to do something about it. So I think it's a great extension of where we've come over the past 5 years, and then where we're going. So really excited about that.
Well, and you retain 10 to 20% of what you hear, but when you actually go and do it.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Oh, look, John
Yes.
left.
The spite of Richards attacks again. I love it.
Wear it like a grudge of negativity. Calculate what we will and will not tolerate. Desperate to control all and everything. Unable to forgive these scarlet-lettered men.
So what else?
Well, I was going to ask you guys, in a personal way, what was your favorite presentation of the day? You did have, now granted, this is not a Masonic convention. However, there are tons of Masons there. I met people from OTO who are not Masons. I met people that were Golden Dawn and not Masons. I mean, it was an amazing amalgamation of folks. And I thought one of the
There's a Venn diagram overlap of Masons and people who are interested in spooky shit.
I think so, yeah. And at the risk of nothing against all of the amazing people who have been the quote unquote keynotes of the Esotericon events, I really, really enjoyed this year's keynote speaker. Dr. Sledge was informative, spoke at a level that was human, and was charismatic and was funny and knew his topic inside and out. And I really appreciated that. probably my favorite keynote of the 5 years that
Yeah.
this
So
has
that
been
was
going
a
on.
big one, right? We got Dr. Sledge from the Esoterica YouTube channel, and it was a huge win for us because he was willing to come out. And one thing that was special is that he is a teacher first and foremost, right? So he teaches this stuff at the university, and so his style was much different than what you normally see on the Esoterica YouTube channel, where he's kind of following a script and making sure that everything is the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. Here, when he gave the lecture, it was much more dynamic, much more interactive, much more like some little comedy zingers thrown in there. Like his style was just fantastic. And so for those who were able to watch it or get the replay, you'll definitely see a different side of Dr. Sledge that I really enjoyed his style as well.
Yeah, I would say probably my favorite lecture was David Hill. David Hill had some really, really deep things to
From
say
Acacia
about.
Lodge?
No, different
Oh.
David Hill.
They
Different.
were both there.
David's twin. He had some really interesting things to say about holy guardian angels, which I found to be fascinating. And he approached it from a psychology standpoint as well, as he's a psychologist.
Yeah, David was somebody else I was really excited about seeing. I have known of David forever. We're friends. And I think we've all kind of walked in similar circles as David. David's been around in masonry for a long time. He's not one to tout his bona fides, but he has a lot. He's been around the block. And I really appreciate his approach to esoterica, in particular his psychological ideas and how he explains things. I certainly think that in order to understand some of what is magical, there has to be an element of understanding through some sort of language that we have, like science, for some of us. But yeah, David was awesome.
Yeah, no, I will. I was very excited for his talk, and exactly to your point, known David for years, have been excited to have him. He was definitely the area we were looking at for the Eclipse version of Esotericon would have been in his neck of the woods. So we're glad that he could pivot and come join us. But yeah, I mean, this was a new crowd of people for him. You know what I mean? Because he's used to the Texas-y folk, you know. But yeah, I think he got to stretch his legs a little bit, and I think he had a really good time. And his presentation was super engaging. And like you said, RJ, it came from a psychological aspect. So this is a side of the conversation that, you know, helps to inform the language that we use when we're talking about all this weird crap, you know, and I thought it was super interesting how he was able to weave all that together. So,
and, you know, I have to mention this. It was the minority of the day in terms of presentations. I always think about esoterica in terms of understanding in scientific terms or in psychological terms. I don't operate in the area of like sort of things are truly unknowable unless you quantify that by saying unknowable to the human, right? Or the human consciousness, like the way we're designed. And so to that effect, you know, a lot of the presentations around the day, I did notice that people were talking about something that I love, but I think I have to draw a line, you know, in the sand at some point. But the idea of mysticalness or the mystical sort of side of things that is necessarily unknowable, and I think somebody said it during the day, keeps things interesting and romantic. Did you guys pick up on that?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, and I think, and we'll probably touch it on this towards the end of the show, but there was definitely an overall theme there. And I think that completely unplanned, right? When we were done with the day, we were like, holy crap, there really was a theme that kind of arced throughout the whole thing. And no, but to your point, you know, I definitely like to, absolutely spot on. I think that it did start to dip its toe into looking at these things that we call ineffable and unknowable, and you know, put these really abstract names in front of and make them a bit more understandable and readable and human. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, helping to define a little bit helps us understand it a little bit more. So if that was one tiny takeaway from the day, then that's a huge success.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We also had Matt Parker, who talked about
Bring his up. Yep.
Heliopolis, the Corpus Hermeticum and the Heliopolis, two seemingly unrelated topics, but Brother Matt did a great job tying all these things together, and how the even the layout of certain cities may or may not be mystically aligned.
And we had the MVP for the day, the one and only Joe Martinez.
I don't know about that.
He gave a really good talk on the rites and passages, or rites of initiation throughout history.
That was fun. Yep, always a good crowd. Yeah, I wanted to get back. We're not talking about me tonight. I want to get back to Matt. I think Matt, and we've all known Matt for years, this was some of the most comfortable I've seen him presenting ever. You know what I mean? He was just super relaxed and really in the zone, and you know, his material was spot on. And you know, during Q&A, he was click clacking it. You know what I mean? Like he was on point, man. I was looking at him from the back. I'm like, man, my man is absolutely caffeinated today.
You know, whether it's this conference or other conferences I've been to, one of the like hallmarks of a good presentation is two things: number of questions that people get at the end, and hang time, meaning after everyone's like, okay, move on to the next topic, the number of people that stick around and like hang out next to the speaker is a good indicator that something's clicking, something's gelling. They want to get some more of that mojo. And all the speakers like always had hang time. So okay, we're gonna go break for lunch, and then there's like this little tiny crowd that follows the immediate speaker out the door, and it's always a good sign that that something clicked, that something's connecting, and people want more. So that's just another indicator of, you know, that this Esotericon conference might be on to something.
So Joe said he didn't want to talk about himself, but we have to acknowledge
The rest of us can talk about Joe.
Yeah, we have to acknowledge that we had a little bit of a pinch hit there, and Joe brought a really great presentation to start us off in the morning, right after the guided meditation that you did. So it was a lot of fun. I've seen your presentations, maybe a dozen times, and every time I go see, even if it's one I've seen before, you're adding things to it. You switch some things up. They're living in a sense. So I think you did an awesome job. And you had some great questions that were coming through. And you know what's always really fun is when people don't ask questions, they just make really long statements.
Yeah,
that's always fun.
We were talking about that. Yeah, there was a lot of there was quite a bit. I mean, I kept looking at John. I was like, please save me, man, because I think we were into like 25 minutes of Q&A, and I'm like, wow, this is a lot. And we had just done the guided meditation, so I was already super chill and just ready to take my shoes off and just relax. And yeah, there was a lot of questions, but I love you all, and the questions were great. And I definitely am not even the questions, it was the comments. We have to give a shout out to which we've not done yet. We were super graced by the presence of John Michael Greer.
Yes.
Who I didn't even know he was coming. And yeah, he came. And for those who don't know, he is one of the most prolific, I wouldn't even say Masonic, mystical and spiritual authors and researchers in in the field. You know what I mean? So, I think we forgot to talk about the brew night. So, we always have the brew night at Sinistral Brewery before Esotericon, which always sets the tone for the following morning, with hangovers and Oh, there he is. Yep. So, we were all waiting around for pizza when somebody pointed out, is that John Michael Greer? And then I've never seen a bunch of middle-aged men just start fangirling instantaneously, but everybody did. And everybody was super jazzed to see him.
That was me.
Yeah, it was Jason. It went a little something like this. I'm sipping beer, and Jason goes, Is that John Michael Greer? And I looked over and I said, where? And he goes, in the red shirt. I looked, and I was going to be like, huh. Can you pull up a picture? Because what does he look like now? Like maybe not, And he pulls up the picture, and I'm like, that looks an awful lot like John Michael Greer. So then Jason, Greer goes up and he's ordering pizza. And Jason gets up and he goes over and he's talking to him for a minute. And so I just walk by and I go,
Totally
Jason.
not in a stalking way.
Not in a stalky way. I walk by Jason and I'm looking at Jason and I'm like avoiding Greer. Like he's right here, but I'm not looking at him. And I just go, is it him? And he goes, it is
the guy.
He goes, it is I. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
So I have his Sacred Geometry Oracle deck, a number of his books, but I'm using the Sacred Geometry Oracle deck to help map out my tattoo sleeve. So I'm like, oh my goodness.
Cool.
It was crazy.
I just love that he was like, it is I. I was like, oh, you're the coolest.
No, he was awesome and so gracious. And that whole day, he was just a treat to talk to. Super down to earth dude, and just ridiculously smart, off the charts. I was like, man, I could not wait to stop talking so I could just listen to Brother John.
Which shows good humility, because he could have totally torn apart everybody's presentations for the day. Actually, on slide 3, you totally screwed that up, and he could have gone there, but he didn't.
Dude, Clint, you guys know Clint. Maybe some of you know who are listening. Clint told Matt, "You're going to talk about this in front of Greer," and he totally freaked Matt out. But Matt did a great job, and it was awesome. But it was just funny because it was yeah, I wouldn't. Had I not known how cool he was, right? You're always if you're going to have an expert in the room, that's a big one to have. So
he was super chill.
Yeah.
And
very humble.
Cracked jokes from the sidelines. It was great. So we hope that he had as fun of a time as we had with him, right?
I hope so too. Yeah, he was a treat.
Yeah, and he drove down with a good friend of ours from Massachusetts. So that was probably a real treat for our friends who got to drive down with him as well. So that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just touching on that, I mean, I think it's what's fun about Esotericon is there's always, you've got the staple favorites, right? The guys and gals that come year after year, and they're going to be there, and you're super excited to see them, and they're from way out of town, and they'll be there no matter where or when we have it. But it's also great to see brand new faces. Every time we have it, we meet brand new people, and they become, part of the fun chit chat squad. You know what I mean? They're in the mix there now, and they're hooked, and I absolutely love that. So it's always awesome to meet new people every year. But again, like you said, I mean, Brother Rob, who brought John Michael Greer, awesome. He's been to every single one since we've had it. Who else has been to every single one?
There's
RJ.
a couple.
Okay,
Yeah. Well, yeah. I've been to
Jamie.
all of them.
Jamie's been to every single one.
Yeah. It's crazy. I've been to more Esotericons than Kevin Homan.
Ooh. Phoebe, much love to Brother Phoebe. Yep, she's been every single one.
Phoebe and Monica, right?
Yeah.
Monica's not going to do every single one. Phoebe has.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Monica, you got to step up your game.
But as to the point of like the vibe of the people too, because you can't plan for this, right? You open up a conference and you don't know who's going to show up, and
Get what you get.
you get what you get. And especially for a weird conference like Esotericon, it was noted multiple times, even before his talk, when Dr. Sledge, said, "Hey, I just want to thank you guys for putting on this because the people that I've talked to are like fully committed to the weird stuff." I think he said something along that line. Like he says, these are people that are intellectually curious and are willing to explore something different. And I thought that was a very humbling statement especially from a guy of his stature. But then that he could feel the energy of the crowd. So again, kudos to just having the right people there. So again, we're talking about all the great speakers and how great the crowd was as well.
And you know what's wild? Like, so I acknowledge the various types of formats for conferences. First year Esotericon, would you have 7 or 8 speakers?
8.
8 speakers. So for me,
We've learned
fine.
our lesson.
I'm down with 8 speakers. I'm down, like I did SPMLs like 2019 or whatever, I think whatever year that first year was, and it was like 8 to 5, then a break, and then we met again at 8 o'clock and went till like 3 a.m. And then the next day we were back up at 9. Like, that's my jam. I love that. But it's not for everybody. And I think for most people, that's pretty taxing. But it was awesome, right? So there's the big days, there's the days that have multi-track events. I think those are neat. Not a big fan of multi-track, only because I feel like people have to make a choice, and that's difficult. And I don't know that that's always, for me, I'm like, that's not fair. Because I might want to see 2 different things,
Pay attention to what RJ's saying, John.
But I shouldn't say but. And a smaller venue allows for a greater amount of participation. And I'll tell you how I know this. Having been a presenter at multiple events over the last, I don't know, whatever, 10 years or 13 years, you don't always play to a full room. In a huge event where there's multiple speakers over the day. Some people come to your presentations, some people don't. Some people are more entertained by what's happening out with all of the vendors. Or if it's a multi-track day, maybe you're the one who's got 10 guys and whoever you're against has like 60 people in the room. But Esotericon, there was nobody in the dining room in or during any of the talks, right? That was so wild to me to see it's basically like selling out the house for every presentation. All the people who came were at all of the talks, which,
with the exception of the 2 people at any given time who are getting readings.
That's right. Which didn't start till later.
No, and you're right, but I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, right? And I know that, that was the jam. Every single person went to every single presentation, but and I know John and I think we've actually gotten off on side tangents about, when we moved to like doing a big retreat and stuff, having multiple tracks, and I always rage against it, right? Because and I'll give you an example. I'm not going to name. It was a Masonic conference. I'm not going to name which one, but it was one that was very well attended. And they had 2 tracks going at the same time on different floors. And I remember I went to, and I was just an attendee there. Or I think I was a presenter. And I went to, they had, this kind of track going on this floor and this kind of track going on this floor. I went to the one I wanted to go to. I walked in and I saw a presenter that I was looking forward to hearing from. And there were 3 people in the room. And one of the guys was an AV guy. So there were 2 people in the room for this presenter. And I sat there and I think I even told John the story. I was like, I never want that to happen at our event. You know what I mean? Because if I was the presenter, I'd be bummed. You know what I mean? Like 70 people are in the other presentation, and because through the luck of the draw, this one was super more interesting than mine, I got 2 people listening to me, and that's got to feel like shit. You know, I'm sorry. It just does. And I know, you know, and like I said, I think John and I have gotten off on tangents. He's like, you know, because he wants like Masonic Disney World, and I totally get, or the Wizarding World of Esotericon, right? And
Yeah, it's esoteric Hogwarts. Yes.
yeah, exactly. But that just scares me, right? It's like, what if we have like this awesome speaker or an author or somebody that's not in the Masonic mainstream, right?
Nobody likes divination class.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Or, you know, learn tarot with Joe and his dog. You know, nobody's going to come to that. You know, but
I'd come to
you
that.
don't ever want to have a presenter or speaker walk out with that vibe. I mean, that's got to feel terrible, you know?
Let's just stand back 1 second. And I want to ask you a question. You have to say where, and you don't have to say when, because we don't want to call out any particular lodge. But I know there are people who are listening who have gone out and done education for lodges, who have presented for minimal audiences. You just mentioned 2 or 3 sitting in the audience. I made a 4-hour flight one time to a lodge that had 12 people there. And so I ended up lecturing. They asked me to do all 3 of my quantum lectures. So I literally stood on my feet and lectured for 4 hours. Because I felt like I couldn't say no, because I wanted to give them something, you know. And
I recently, just in the past month, I drove 4 hours for 10 people.
Yeah,
I've driven 5 hours for 6.
yeah. So it's hard.
It doesn't matter. I mean, yes,
it affects
can be
the
hard.
one, right? Like we know,
Right. Exactly. That's why we do it.
If you affect the one person and you make the one mark, that's the reason. That's awesome. But also, like, it is kind of a bummer sometimes, because you're really hoping to have some, you know, additional fellowship and meet people, and it can be difficult, right? So yeah, I never want to have. I love multi-track event.
Yes.
I know Chad Kopinski loves a multi-track event. Horrible hours.
Is the metric hours per person, or is it value per enlightened individual? I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it's
Or
well, I
humans.
mean, you bring up Chad, and I think that you know, not number one, we love Chad, but you know, and Robert, I think you touched on this a little bit. We go out of our way to make sure we're not stylized as a Masonic conference, right? You go to Masonic conferences, especially some of the big ones, and yeah, you have your weirdo esoteric track, and then you've got your history track, and then you've got your, you know, practical how to make green beans track, and whatever other
Tell us
track.
how to pay the per capita every
Yes.
year by dipping into our roofing fund.
How to
Tell
be
us.
a good junior warden. So you've got buckets that are always going to attract certain flavors of people. And the thing is, we're not like that. We cater to a very niche audience. And you know, you never want them to have to pick and choose, like between Jamie or John Ruark, you know, because John will lose every single time, right? And everybody else,
100%.
that's right. But yeah, no, but to your point, there are events like you know, the OG MasonCon, which is coming back in Attleboro, right? They do multi-track events, but you know, and kudos to Brian Simmons, you know, who's bringing it back to Attleboro. I'm super excited for it. They do different tracks, but they pack that building with so many people.
Walk through that. The first year I went, I want to say they told me they had over 500 people walk through the door. So whether they were Masons or not, public or not, they, like, at some point during the day, you know, they're clicking away. 500 pairs of feet walked through, you know. So that, yes, I'm sure some of them are kids and adults and, you know, like I said, curious individuals or whatever, but it's pretty wild. It's pretty cool. So you can separate 500 people or whatever the case, even 200 people, you could separate into multi-tracks, or you could do the thing that your Grand Lodge, the 3 of you have a Grand Lodge that loves to do multi-tracks, that they just present the same darn thing 3 times and you guys rotate like a revolver. I know you love that.
That is a go with a no in front of it.
So I'm curious, right? Like, we've been talking about this stuff and I've kind of asked you guys some questions as somebody from the outside. You guys plan. Some juiciness hit the internet today. juiciness at the internet today, and I'm wondering if you guys, I mean, you're the planners. Are you allowed to talk about it yet, or?
We can tease it, right? Are we down for a tease?
Are we going to try to keep it sub rosa or?
Oh,
Why would you use that term?
man, that was in the Da Vinci Code. You can get away with that. Yeah, baby. All right.
This
so
is the juiciness that came across my Facebook feed today.
yes. So we'll be back.
We're back,
Father's Day.
baby.
Yes. Didn't take us long to make a decision. I apologize. Let me apologize to everybody that went this year and who asked us when next year's was, and we said, hey, we're going to think about it. So obviously we thought about it for a whole week.
Our minds were made up for us.
Yes.
We had people from the conference going, you will do this next year.
Correct. And they gave us a really good idea for a theme. So we're not going to tell you what the theme is. You're going to have to figure it out. But yeah, we've got a date, we've got a venue, and we are going to get advertising early. Yeah, so next year, come back to Manassas.
This was
Save the date.
Yep.
This was juicy and delicious and just what I needed to see on my Friday. This was my Friday today. I'm out tomorrow, flying out, but this was really cool. I got super excited, and I had to write the date. It's already in my calendar, so I'm looking forward to this one, fellas.
June 14th, 2025.
Yep,
Father's Day
this will be great.
weekend.
Yeah, and so I want to say there were a couple of bros who couldn't make it because it was Father's Day. Just tell your significant other this is what you want for Father's Day, and you're solved, right?
Send us your significant other's email addresses, and we will send them a Father's Day invitation.
Yeah, and
I like it.
I just want all of those significant others out there, those partners out there, to know that nobody wants to build the grill and then cook on the grill for the people that bought them the grill. Nobody wants to do that.
Nobody.
They'll say they want to, and they'll laugh and they'll thank you.
And, well, let me cut you off there for a second. Everybody who comes to Esotericon is into the weird stuff, and they all dress nice. They have as many bow ties as they need. You need to buy them no more ties, guys. Okay? No more ties are needed. We all have closets full of ties. We have more ties than we have underwear. Okay?
It's a true story.
And we didn't even talk about the swag, right? So you're going to get Father's Day swag if you come anyway.
You are.
Yeah, it's actually, I come early because I love hanging out with Joe's kids, and they're phenomenal. And I learn about Pokemon and anime and Nintendo, and it's amazing. But I'm also there, and I try to help out. And it's so much fun. The last couple of years, it's been a really ragtag group. It's all of you guys, plus Nicholas Lane. You're friggin' awesome. And Nicholas has this great, he just sets up all the swag and gets us sorted, and we're sorting swag bags and putting things together for all the attendees. And it's just a lot of fun because, like, I'm sitting there, and I'm picking up these bags, and I'm seeing, like, I know all of the people who are coming to this, whether it's internet or they listen to the shows or they do their own show, whatever. And I'm just like, oh, I know this person. They're going to get this Manly P. Hall book. Boink. They're so it's just so much fun to be able to, help out on the back end. And you guys do such a great job with putting together really cool stuff.
Here he is.
Yeah. Good old Nicholas. Look at him back there in his Canadian shirt.
Kudos to him. He brought the whole con concept up to Canada. They had one. Jason went, right?
Yeah. And then,
no, I wasn't able to make it. It was Jack Harley who ended up going.
Okay, right on. Yeah. I went to one, and I went to this one, which is another one inspired by folks Weekend Without Titles. That was a Masonic conference in Alberta. That was a blast.
I went to the copy of Nathan Lane's, which he was saying, like, a bunch of areas decided to kind of take their track listing. So
Nathan
I ended up
Lane.
going to, sorry.
Nicholas Lane.
Nicholas Lane. Nicholas, I apologize. My fault. Nicholas was telling me about their conference and how it was very similar to the one that I went to, which was in London, Ontario. they just have a great thing going. And Nicholas is always coming down for Esotericon, and I learned something new about Nicholas every time. So it's
Come
pretty
for the weirdness, stay for the people.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
It's so true.
We
All right,
didn't.
let's.
Well, it's time to wrap up, sure, but we didn't
Yeah.
talk about the types of readings that people were able to get at the conference.
We got something new this year. That's true.
Yeah. So we had Jamie Paul Lamb doing tarot readings, and and yes, I ended up doing Lenormand readings as well. What happened is Jamie Paul Lamb filled up within 15 seconds. And the guys came to me and they're like, "Hey, Jason, why don't you read some Lenormands or Lenormand spreads?" And I'm like,
So that's cool.
Sure.
You came through with the clutch and heard great feedback. So, and I think also, the flavor of I guess I don't want to say cartomancy because that's not kind of, and a lot of folks don't use it for that, but a lot of people don't know about Lenormand. So I think that's really cool. And you brought something unique and was exactly the kind of place to show that off. So I hope you continue to do that. I think that's a really cool value add every year. And if you don't do readings, maybe you do a workshop. That'd be cool.
I could totally do that. Yeah.
Totally separate track.
No.
Separate.
No.
Well, I'd be on that track. So, hey, and you know what? While I talked about Joe's presentation, I talked about Jason and his Lenormand. I'm going to plug this before we wrap. But John, I saw a really wicked presentation that you're doing for Masonicon, Kansas. I read the title of it and I totally got a broner. It's like stoicism in dealing with the wild kind of trials and tribulations of today. I think that might be one of the most important Masonic presentations that you can see today. So
you humble me. Yeah. So thank you for plugging that. In the next month, I'll be speaking at Masonicon, Kansas, over there with run by Brother Alex Powers, and great lineup of awesome speakers so far. And I stay true to my resolution every year to do one brand new presentation every year, and one I'm very excited about doing a lot of research for right now: Stoic Resilience in an Age of Uncertainty. I'm going to touch on, with the election year and with AI taking over our jobs and inflation and all the things that we have to worry about, how can we use our Masonic and Stoic principles to make ourselves better people and press forward? So I'm really excited. A lot of good research going into that, and so try, set your expectations low, and I'll trip right over them for you. So, but I can't wait. I'm really excited how it's shaping up.
Yeah, and I love that. Much success to all the other cons this year. I know there's some.
Absolutely.
Masonicon Kansas is what, year 3? Third year, right? Doing awesome. Love it. Alex, you're doing a great job. We've got the OG Attleboro Masonicon coming back. What else we got this year?
Well, you got SPML is going hard for 2025.
Yeah, we're going to early 2025.
Yeah, they're biannual. Yes.
Yeah.
I have it on good authority that the Hamilton District Masonicon in Toronto, Canada, will be back next year.
Fabulous.
This is awesome. And for those if you guys know of a conference that you want to let other people know about, I'm trying to kind of just put everything together. MasonicConferences.com. It's just kind of separated by regions in the United States. And there's a title, a little bit about it, when it's happening, and a hot link to it. So it's like you just go right to it. It's just kind of an aggregate to keep track of conferences that are happening in this kind of Masonic Con style. So it's a good resource, I think, for anybody who wants to get out. And maybe you want to find something in your local region. I'm sure I know for a fact there's conferences in every region of the United States, from mid-Atlantic to the upper Northwest. So it's out there.
Yep.
All right, so how do we do this? Go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, last thing before we get to final thoughts. My wife just pointed out and sent me a text message. So next year, it'll be June 14th, 2025. The brew night will be Friday the 13th. So, yeah. So bring out your happy magic energy and come join us. And we'll see if we can kill our keynote as we always try to do.
Let's burn some Templars at the stake.
Burn the Templars. I love it.
Barb is more prepared on the esoterics than we are. I love it.
Yeah, she rocks. Yeah, that was it. So
cool. All right, let's do one-word retrospective of how you thought Esotericon weekend went, and we'll end with Jason to close us down because my microphone in Arby's is very.
So you go first.
I'll go first. Inspiring. I'm ready to go again. I'm ready to do it next year.
I'll go. I will say fulfilling. Always am fulfilled and rejuvenated. My hair doesn't grow back, but I feel fabulous after a week of the Johnsons and then a Saturday at Esotericon.
You gain an inch in back hair, though.
And belly.
Practically braid it now. Fantastic.
Okay.
What's happening?
One word. Check out.
One word.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with enlightening.
Always the goal.
All right, we're going to thank Arby's tonight, not a sponsor. Thank you for your orange creamsicles, and we're going to let Jason say goodbye to us.
All right. Yeah. Thanks so much, everybody, for coming to listen to us, week after week. Thanks so much to everybody who attended Esotericon. We're looking forward to bringing it back in Manassas, Virginia next June. So we will see you all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And thank you so much for watching, and keep searching for more light. Good night. Wow.
Keep searching.